fancy you're getting today. I didn't know you were going to get so fancy.
We just gotta go to the bathroom here, and just gotta record with the children. So happy COVID stuff. How are you doing, Erin?
I'm good. My ring light just went out, so we're all still trying to figure out working from home.
Really, you look wonderful. The lighting looks great.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It worked this whole time that we were all here. Here we go back. All right. I'm so excited about our show. Are you excited to start getting ready? And it looks like we're actually joined by all 4 people now. So
yeah, usually when we have 300-400 people tune in, and then we have people that have had millions of people tune in, it's a turn of events. So
right.
You and I are more intimidated.
The totem pole.
We are way more intimidated than our guests. I'll say that.
Okay, well, let's get started. One of my favorite women in sports. You don't have any music for us today?
No, I don't have music.
We don't even need it because these people have had actual walkout songs. So we're just going to. One of my favorite all-time people in sports. She's a woman. She's a badass. Brenda VanLengen. I messed your name up. Say it right.
VanLengen. You got it pretty
close. I told her I was going to mess it up. I always do it. I do it with one of my best friends all the time too, whose name's kind of like that. So welcome. All right. One of Scott's great buddies, and I've met him before. We spoke at a conference once. Former NFL player, now I believe he's a public speaker and a coach and all sorts of stuff. Jon McGraw.
Hey, everybody.
You, John. Super Bowl champion, Kansas City Chiefs player, Spencer Ware. You there, Spencer? And then I believe that down here, yay, and the new KU basketball coach coming up from Texas, Mr. Terry Nooner. Hello. I'm so excited you got on here, Terry.
Good to be here.
Well, we are so excited that you guys are all here. We're going to start off with some questions Scott's going to ask, and then we'll let the audience start putting your questions in now because I know we're already going to have millions of them. So take it over, Scott.
Yep. For the first 10, 15, 20 minutes, we're going to be asking our guests generic questions, and then we go live to Q&A. So, Brenda, tell us the story of how you got to Kansas City and what you do today.
All right. Well, thanks for inviting me to be on the show. This should be a lot of fun today. I am from Nebraska originally, grew up in a really small town in South Central Nebraska called Roseland. I'm sure nobody's ever heard of it before. But I went to the University of Nebraska Kearney, played basketball there, got a business education degree, and then I coached at the University of Nebraska in Lincoln for the women's basketball team. And then I moved to Kansas City about 25 years ago, got involved with a startup company called Coach's Edge. I ran the women's Final Four when it was here in Kansas City, and also was a part of a nonprofit organization called PE for Life. But I have been a sports broadcaster for the last 25 years for ESPN, Fox Sports, SEC Network, Big Ten Network, and others, and do a little speaking and a few other side hustles. So glad to be here.
All right, Terry, how did you get to Kansas?
For me?
Yep, Terry.
So I'm originally from Kansas City. I played basketball at KU from 96 to 2000. After I graduated, I actually spent a year or so working with Brenda at Coach's Edge while I was in grad school. And then once I graduated, I moved back to Kansas City and was teaching and coaching youth basketball and built that into like a great program and ended up getting my first college coaching job at Southern Illinois in 2011, I believe. And that was kind of like how my whole coaching career got started. So I've coached there. I've coached at KU before this time I've coached at University of Alabama. I've coached at the University of Maryland. I coached for the Cavaliers. I've coached at the University of Texas. And now it's like a coming home party. I'll be starting at KU again in June, actually. So I'm excited about coming back home.
That's awesome. Spencer, how did you find yourself in Kansas City?
Man, never thought I'd be there. Honestly, I was like, what's in Kansas City, really? From Cincinnati, Ohio, born and raised. went to school, college to play football and baseball at LSU, Louisiana State University. So went down to Baton Rouge, and then after that, I was drafted to the Seattle Seahawks in 2013. Spent a year and a half up there, won a Super Bowl, and then was out of work for actually a year. And then Kansas City was, I want to say they gave me a second chance, gave me another opportunity at my career, at my football life. And then from that point on, just was trying to make history. But what I do now is still promoting the faith-based brand, lifestyle apparel, Yes Lord, and then also doing some community service and with my foundation, with the Sickle Cell Awareness Foundation.
Jon, so you didn't venture too far out of Kansas, but how did you find yourself at K-State University in your career after that?
Yeah, I grew up just west of Manhattan, Kansas, and walked on the Kansas State football program there and played college ball there, and then was drafted by the Jets, spent a few years there and a couple with the Lions, and then in 2007 got the opportunity to come back and sign with the Chiefs, finish up my career here pretty close to home, which was a really cool experience, and retired here in Kansas City. So Herm Edwards brought me back in 2007.
And today, what is your business?
Yes, so we started a mindset training consulting firm. So a host of mindset training from corporate training, resilience training, organizational change, wellness, and then we also do a lot of work in sports as well.
So Brenda, more specifically, when we're talking about the business side of the community, who is someone, whether it's a client, a prospect, or a company, that you've helped in recent months, and who are those, or who is an ideal person you want to work with? So to give the audience a little idea on the business side, who you work with on there.
Sure, absolutely. My main gig is being a sports broadcaster, but in addition to that, and most of the sports that I cover are basketball, women's basketball, or a lot of other women's sports from softball, soccer, volleyball, etc. But I also do speaking engagements for youth groups, for graduations, for women's corporation groups, and the Kiewit Foundation, their Key Women program, invited me in February, and I spoke to like 100 of their female employees. And just the theme is that I talk a lot about is take advantage of your advantage. And that so often we focus on what we're not good at and dwell on that sort of thing. And my message is, to really focus on those strengths and the things you do well. And like any coach would have you do, leverage your assets, leverage your strengths, and take advantage of your advantage. So I go out and speak with a lot of groups. I actually connected with Aaron at a girls, so you want a career in sports, girls event last fall, and also spoke to that group. So a lot of times to go out and speak with a lot of girls and women's group and just talk about empowerment and accomplishing their dreams and goals.
Terry, with your role, I mean, you're more than anyone, you're really engaged in the career of sports, but how are you engaging the business community, and who are the folks in the business community that you're trying to engage to grow your program?
I think in especially in women's basketball, it's a big emphasis on growing the game. So you're trying to seek out people to sponsor. You're trying to seek out people that can be mentors and that kind of thing that are in the business world, because we have a lot of young women who want to do a bunch of different things, whether it's in sport or outside of sport. So trying to make sure you engage them with people and connect our student athletes with people that can help them during their 4 years at Kansas, so they can be connected for the next 40 years of their lives. So we try to do a lot more of that kind of stuff. I think I'm a big proponent of that. A big part of why I'm here today is I went to KU. The connections I made there during those 4 years are still helping me 20 years after I've graduated. So I think for us, that's probably the bigger thing, is trying to figure out how we connect our student athletes to people that can help them along, so they can have the lives and be productive adults once they leave KU.
And then one more question. Are you going to be speaking to folks in Kansas City as well to raise awareness for the program in the coming months and years?
Yeah, I think, of course, Kansas City is divided. I'm actually, which is crazy because I'm from the Missouri side, but I went to KU, so I got a lot of Missouri friends that only like KU because I went there, or only like me but still hate KU type thing. But then you still have a lot of Jayhawk fans in Kansas City. So, yeah, I think we try to engage anybody. We want to get people to come out because we believe we got a great sport. We think we have a good product that's on the floor, and our game is getting better and better. Each year by year, the game is getting better. So we want to get as many people as we can to come out and support it.
Spencer, for you connecting to the business community, you mentioned your clothing brand. Who are some of the folks that you're trying to connect with, and how are you connecting with them?
I want to try to make, as people, we are all created to build relationships, to have relationships, to show compassion, to be there for one another, to show love. With everything that's going on in this world, I feel like we lose sight of that we have to be here for one another. So with the brand, my ideal client is, I say everybody because it's tricky with fashion because you have to find the specific demographic or whatnot. But I try to just simplify everything, and it's a faith-based brand, and it's the ones that have those stories that it took faith and it took believing. Two things that we can't see. We all too focused on what's being seen out here. The social media, the news. All that is distractions. You think about it in my business, it's a lot of distractions. Cameras, you got fans, you got family, you got the whole entire atmosphere. So you can tend to get overwhelmed with just life itself, but just bringing it back to the basics, simplifying it, having those clients that are going through trial times, or you really just can't see it all the way through where the light is going to be at, and just keeping that faith. I call those yes Lord moments. So anytime that people have those moments in doubt, you're able to, I wanted something that they can actually feel, touch, see when they look in the mirror, because we self-evaluate all the time, and that's our true competition. So I just wanted to, like I said, with everything, it sounds complicated, but it's just simplifying it as far as just remain true to yourself, believe, and you have to believe in the higher power and show gratitude. So when you do that, saying yes Lord is socially bonding, and then also too, you can visually express yourself, and you don't give anyone the leeway to form their own opinion about yourself. So I think it's a standout brand, and those people who like to stand up for what they believe in, those are my ideal type of clients.
Nice. Great answer in terms of the ideal client and the exact brand that you're trying to reach. John, I found the other day, it was not referencing this show at all. I was talking to my wife about a speech you give about when we look to achieve a goal, we run after that goal, but then what do we do next? And we don't really enjoy being in the present. So I highly encourage people to book you for that speak to a broader audience, but specifically to working with high performing teams. Have you had any recent engagements or businesses or types of businesses that you've interacted with that you've really enjoyed?
Yeah, quite a few. It's been interesting shifting from a lot of mostly in-person training to these virtual trainings. But I think one of the things that really jumps out at me is there's measurable outcomes that we track through the process. And what's unique about our stuff is it's systematized. We've systematized mindset training inside of any organization. And so it's more than just a 1 hour speech or motivational talk. It's really about creating a system, and there's a place for those as well, but we're able to do both. But it's really fun to see the measurable outcomes. So seeing the sales team, break records, that's always fun to watch. But the thing that really gets us excited is when we see people beginning to think about purpose, Scott, to your point, purpose differently. And instead of looking to their employer or to their company to give them a sense of purpose or fulfillment or meaning, they learn how to start bringing that to what they do. Right? And so one of my favorite stories is an executive team, air traffic controller company. They've got airports all over the world. And halfway through the first session, one of the executives turned to the CEO and said, "Can I stay?" And I didn't know what he meant. Afterwards, I found out he had just turned in his 2-week notice because he just wasn't feeling fulfilled with the work that he was doing. And he went to the CEO right after that and said, "Can I stay?" Because he realized that what he was missing was not something that he should be expecting from his place. It's something he should be bringing to his place of employment and to his leadership team. And so that's one of my favorite messages, guys. How do we, yes, have a goal and have a vision and have a clear plan to get there, but not make that our primary purpose? Our primary purpose is to be great wherever we're at right now.
So one thing with this show, we always try to build personal brands and build your business. And we try to avoid the easy topics. Like when we had Mayor Quentin Lucas on, we didn't want to talk to him about, what the city's going to be doing. But eventually the conversation shifts to that. And there's no way to avoid that with a lot of your businesses. Some of it pertains to sports. So this is a business question. And the question is while I'm asking you these questions, I keep thinking of Brenda and her critiquing how I'm asking them. So I'm thinking food for thought. I have someone 25 years.
That's a lot of pressure today.
Brenda, we always ask the question, what does the future of your industry look like? And we try not to make this about you're all celebrity to the general public. We want this to be about business, but there's no way to avoid your business is sports. A lot of it is. And so what does the future of your industry look like?
Well, of course, the near future, nobody knows, right? And it's as you hear these conversations, as you hear that Major League Baseball is going to try to start around 4th of July, and the NFL releasing their schedules, and the college administrators and the NCAA saying we don't know, or we aren't going to have sports if there aren't students on campuses. We don't know. And even looking ahead to next year, what if we do have college football and another outbreak happens in late October, early November, and campus is shut down? Well, that's right when basketball season starts, which is my time of year. And so, we just don't know. And obviously, we're very hopeful for a vaccine, treatment, and all those kind of things. So I think those things are paramount in any sports that are competed or broadcast on television. So we just don't know. I mean, once we get past all of this, the future, there's so much more. Uh, there's so many more networks and digital platforms and so forth to broadcast sports, and that's where I think where my passion is in women's sports. It opens up more opportunities for girls and women to be seen, whether it's a digital online platform or television or whatever. There are just more and more opportunities, and it's part of why I've been able to build a 25-year career broadcasting women's sports, because there have been more opportunities. If somebody would ask me in the 80s when I was playing college basketball if I wanted to be a sports broadcaster for women's sports, I had no interest because there weren't many women's sports events broadcast on television. And so it's grown and grown, and my career has grown and grown. And so I just think in that way, the future, specifically women's sports, there are just so many more opportunities that will continue to unfold.
I have a question. I have kind of a follow-up question to that, because I'm going to guess you're going to call on Terry next based off of what you've been doing.
Yep.
Pre-pandemic, I felt like women's basketball in general kind of got an unfortunate resurgence through Kobe, right? Do you feel like that will carry on past pandemic as well?
Well, I sure hope so. I mean, Kobe was such a supporter of girls and women's sports, the WNBA, college women's basketball, especially because of his daughter Gigi and all of her friends and the team that he coached. And it helped raise the level of awareness about women's basketball. And if Kobe thinks it's cool, it must be something to take a look at. And through all the memorials and everything, I thought there was a lot of attention. And it's there's so many unfortunate things that have happened because of this pandemic, and this is really minor. in the scheme of things. But the fact that we didn't have the NCAA tournament, men's or women's, and the fact that we didn't get to see Sabrina Ionescu, who spoke at Kobe's memorial, who would have been on center stage for the entire world to see. And and then South Carolina, number one in the country for so many years, and Baylor, the defending champion, and just all of those great stories, we lost them, and that's really unfortunate. And so the story will be, when are we going to get back on the court? And so I hope we don't lose the momentum that we gained there. But everybody's pausing, and so I hope during this time away, when everybody has time for self-reflection and what's important and how we go forward, that we're able to think about how sports is an important part of all of our lives,
Mhm.
whether it's girls or boys or men or women participating in it and supporting that. I think is a good thing that we all have the opportunity to do.
So a fun game to play at home is Richard Wetzel, the CEO of Centric Projects, wasn't able to hear Erin when she asked questions. And right now, Spencer cannot hear Erin either. So if you watch Spencer's facial reaction after Erin talks, it's a really fun game to play. Thank goodness the question was about Kobe.
Right.
So Terry, how is it's perfect parlay from what Brenda's saying, how is your industry, your business going to change?
I mean, I think now it's like Brenda said, everybody's on pause. We're trying to get direction from. There's so many levels of direction. So you got the NCAA, who governs the schools. You got the schools. You got government, from the state government to local governments to the federal governments to state. So there's so many different people who have to make decisions. So right now we're trying to decide. The month of July is a huge month for us as far as recruiting. We'll go to places like Chicago or Louisville, and you'll have 1,000 teams of girls playing basketball. So that's like the biggest bulk of our recruiting time. And wondering right now if they're going to even going to have those tournaments. What is that going to look like? So that involves business, because you have business owners who are running tournaments, who have rented out and put deposits on convention centers and bringing in courts, and families who are putting their money down to travel and go to hotels and all that kind of stuff. And all those things are kind of on hold now. And as college coaches, how do we recruit during our biggest time of year? So are we going to be looking at things online, trying to digitally watch kids play, and how is that going to change our recruiting? So a lot of things are, like Brenda said, is up in the air, and everybody's trying to be innovative and still trying to figure out how we can still run business. So we have recruiting meetings with kids and families. We're doing those on Zoom and showing them PowerPoints and stuff on Zoom and showing them the campus on Zoom. So just trying to be creative in the things that we do with the recruits and recruit the kids, so we can still bring value and still try to do our jobs. But it's difficult because we're in a relationship business where you like to feel and touch and see people in person and read body language and that kind of stuff. So a lot of that stuff is kind of changing, but we're still just up in the air and just trying to figure out what's next for it.
So Spencer, with retail being something that's unquestioned with clothing and brands, are you mainly an online brand? And then secondly, how do you see the industry changing of your business?
Yes, well, it was a little bit of both. I had some my apparel in some stores in Kansas City, and then also too I was online. But my biggest strive for the biggest thing for my brand was the connection that I made with my customers. So my biggest days normally would be, when I would host an event or a pop-up or something fun for the kids or something, just in that nature, some type of entertainment along with, selling the store. Selling the merch, from the store. But I think in the future, with things opening back up, it has slowed down a lot of bit because I just business, like the business is just, it's just slow right now. People
Absolutely.
are not working, the money is not coming in normally, so you got a lot of as we call them, window shoppers right now. You know, it looks good, but I can't really because, you know, work is a little bit slow right now. So that's why I really strive to make my brand, you know, meaningful for times like this. Like I said, for those believers. So every collection that I've had so far has, you know, sold out. I think I've had 4 collections so far, and I think I'm be coming out with another one sort of this late, well, um, early summer, kind of like beginning of fall. And I'm just hoping for the best and see what we can do and see how many lives we can change, just with the fabric itself, or just us giving that gratitude to the one above for these hard times, the one that we depend on. You know, so we got to, you know, give our thanks and give credit where it's due. That's gonna pull us up out of this. So I feel like it'll be meaningful to a lot of people.
Spencer also, he can't hear me, but he's been killing the LinkedIn game the past few weeks.
Yeah, that's right. And you changed. No, Spencer, you have been killing LinkedIn lately. You've been all over. Aaron said you're killing LinkedIn, which you are.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, it's just capitalizing too, like I said, on the platforms. What Brenda was talking about, just, you know, taking advantage of the advantage, and, you know, just take it and running with it. So I mean, I've tried it, LinkedIn. I've had it since college. Just, you know, I mean, I was playing football, so it was kind of hard to, you know, be on my phone all day when I'm trying to, you know, get my body right and take care of, you know, family and kids and whatnot. But with this time that's been slowed down, it's been giving me a chance to, you know, regroup and re-strategize and come back in. So when we come up out of this pandemic, is, you know, hitting the ground running.
So we're going to ask Jon a question, then one quick round of your kryptonite in the kitchen, and then Aaron's going to be taking over for the last 30 minutes of audience questions.
They've got a lot of them.
Yep. And so, Jon, like when March rolled around and I was thinking of all my friends like yourself that spoke and that would do engagements, I was like, wow, that's going to be tough. And now I'm like, it's almost interesting how much people are seeking it and needing it, because without you helping speak and getting people to connect and interact in a structured environment, they're not going to get it at the office. And so what do you see the future of your industry looking like, and how have your pivots into digital gone well?
Yeah, it's a great question, Scott. I think everyone in the speaking, coaching, consulting game, it's all about how can you scale, and how do you not just trade time for dollars, and that's a big issue. What this has done for us, we're already moving down this road, but we can still add a lot of value virtually, and this is a way for us to deliver some really great value to companies, and so. We're trying to get as good at it as quickly as we can, like everyone else out there, and manage the technology as best we can. But it's a really great opportunity for us to do a lot more business, because we can scale. We work with really large organizations, but it's hard for us to be everywhere we need to be. And so demonstrating the effectiveness of this virtually has been really good for our business as we continue to grow. And we've seen a really big uptick in business as more companies are concerned about the mental well-being of their people being at home. How do they think about purpose differently? How do they handle the stress, a different type of stress, all the distractions they've got going on at home? Are we going to work from home for an extended period? Or maybe some of our companies are saying, hey, we're not going to go back to the office, and we're going to allow a lot of people to work from home. So lots of opportunity, lots of challenges, but it's one that we're really excited about.
So one question that you guys didn't ask for, that I'm kind of putting you on the spot, but I would like to plug. You're speaking. A lot of what Aaron and I do is help connect businesses to speakers. And so, Brenda, the first question, the most important one, what is your kryptonite in the kitchen? What should you be avoiding? And if I'm watching and I want you to come speak to my company in Kansas City or throughout the country, what's the easiest way to find your contact info?
Okay, well, my kryptonite in the kitchen, and there's a lot of things right now, unfortunately, but this will sound weird, but actually Spanish peanuts. The redskin peanuts, and I can't avoid them. I go and grab a handful often throughout the day. That's kind of my kryptonite. So But how people can get a hold of me, LinkedIn is a great way to do it. You can follow me on Twitter. Brenda VanLengen is my hashtag or my name on Twitter. Instagram, I'm Brenda VanLengen TV. So any of those ways would be the best ways to get a hold of me. And yeah, I'd love to do this virtually and speak to groups, and then hopefully as we get out, come out and make appearances as well. So any of those ways.
Terry, your Missouri friends may be giving you a hard time about KU, but they won't be when they see how much you're crushing it in the speaking game in Kansas City.
Oh,
So what's the kryptonite in the kitchen? You should be avoiding food, not refreshments.
oh,
And then what is a way that people can get a hold of you if they want you to speak to their company?
my kryptonite will probably be bacon, crispy bacon.
And then if people want to get a hold of you for speaking, how could they do that?
Any of my social medias, I'm still building up my LinkedIn, but I got it. So everything is my first and last name: LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. I got the same names because I need it all for my recruiting and connecting with the kids and parents. So you can contact me on any of that stuff.
You hit me up on LinkedIn today first. I was impressed.
Yeah.
Right. So Spencer, what's one thing you shouldn't be eating in the kitchen that you are? And then if people want to get in contact with you with your retail brand or for you personally to speak, how do they do that?
I want to say the fruit snacks. I'm a big fruit snack, like Gushers, fruit roll-ups. And they, it only comes about 6 or 7, maybe 8 if you get a good pack in there. So
yep. Oh yeah.
I get them by the twos, man. I get them by the twos. So I gotta try to stay busy and keep my mind off of them. But if they want to get in contact with me, they can check social media websites, Instagram, Twitter, the LinkedIn. I'm on here quite often. Also, too, if they want to, they can shoot an email, first and last name, SpencerWare513@gmail.com. Yeah.
He's
All
like
right,
the
John,
mayor, just giving out his information.
Yeah, Mayor Quentin Lucas gave out his cell phone, so he's Spencer's man of the people.
Oh, man.
Don't worry, we don't. It's not like we have millions of people tuning in, so
Not yet.
It's all business people.
Yet.
So John, what should you be avoiding in the kitchen that you're not avoiding?
Yeah, my kryptonite in general is sugar. So anything with sugar, I have a problem with. But at the top of that list, for me, are donuts. I love all kinds of donuts, and yeah, I've been known to take out an entire box at one time. So that's definitely my kryptonite. And then the best way to get a hold of me, so LinkedIn's a great way. Also, visionpursue.com is our website, and we've got a contact us on there. Another great way to get a hold of me.
Yeah, I just think of Cortez and Colquitt and you just killing a whole thing of donuts on a Saturday morning. All right, for the exciting part of the show, I know we have lots of questions. So, Aaron, what is intriguing? What is a appropriate question?
They're all appropriate. Actually, there's questions for everybody, which is really exciting. That doesn't always happen. So I want to start, Brenda, with you. Jennifer Dehan, who's actually been a guest on the show before. She said, thank you for participating in the reading to children in the foster system through KC Kansas Angels. How do you think sports help young women navigate adversity?
Wow. That's a great question. And yeah, I'm really excited to do that for the Kansas City Angels, reading a book. And I'm actually reading a book about a young girl learning about sports, Shelley being the sports queen. If you haven't seen that series of books and you have kids, it's a great series about girls learning to participate in sports, Shelley being the sports queen. But, I mean, sports teaches boys and girls so much. I mean, everybody on this panel knows that. But, about I could tell a lot of stories about setting goals and working toward them, but sometimes those times when you fail, and often the times when you fail, are when you learn the most and when you learn to persevere. And I think sports gives you an opportunity in a way that many things can't to teach you how to fail and get back up and keep striving for your goals. And whether it's not making a team or not making the starting lineup or not getting the honors or recognition that you think you deserve, any of those times that you fail, it's humbling, and it reminds you what you have to do to go back and work harder, work smarter. And those are skills that can get you far in life, not just in sports.
Yeah, just for context, Jennifer is the CEO of Velocity, which is one of the major staffing firms here in town. So
yes.
I love that. You know what else I love? This is the first show we've ever had where people are actively taking notes to learn from each other. I see you, Terry. I see you guys, John. I like that. The minute you said that, they both wrote down the name of the book. I did too. So I have a little girl who's very into sports. So, all right, Terry, let's ask you this one because you brought up connection. So I think this is awesome. You said a big part of your business was connecting. How do you feel is the best way to lead through connection?
I think so. Being a coach, I think a big part of recruiting is connecting. I think a lot of times, you as part of coaching, you want to make sure you get the best out of your athletes, right? So I think making sure that the kids see you as a person that they can relate to, making sure that the young ladies understand that you care about them on and off the court, and that you're not just concerned about, as an athlete. I think that was a big part of why, I came to Kansas, why I chose to play for Roy Williams. I felt like he was going to be like a father figure for me on and off the court, and I felt like he cared about me. So the fact that he cared about us so much made us want to run through brick walls for that man, and that's kind of like the approach I've taken as a coach. Like, I make sure my family is involved with my teams. I make sure my wife and my kids are around, so that the ladies see me as more than just a coach and an overseer, but they see me as a real person who's been through a lot of the same things that they've been through, made a lot of mistakes that they've made and are going to make, and just trying to be a mentor and helping them to see me as a real person. I think that's my way that I connect, and the way I use that as a leadership.
It's probably easy to keep your family around. You got some of the cutest kids. You and Spencer both do a really good job. John, I don't know you enough. I don't follow you on social, so I bet you do good too. But you and Spencer do a good job of involving your kids in all of your social.
Yeah.
Spencer has no idea what I'm saying, but I've been
Aaron was saying you do a great job of involving your kids on your social media.
It's like telephone.
Thanks. Well,
and Terry, tell me give Terry that too.
Speaking of that, you can tell me the next question because right now I'm trying to read Spencer's face like he reads a defense because his eyes automatically go to Brenda, John, and Terry. Like, what kind of question was it?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out.
So you're actually going to have to repeat this question.
John don't give me nothing either.
So Randy actually wants to know from Spencer, so get ready to repeat, Scott. Sabbaticals are great for resting the mind and re-energizing the spirit. How did he approach his year off the NFL to get ready to go back in?
Is that Randy Powell?
No, it's Randy Kimmel.
Randy Kimmel. So Randy Kimmel is asking, a sabbatical helps you get your mind right. How did you deal with a year off? Is that correct, Aaron? Is that a good way to phrase it?
Get ready to go back in.
Getting ready to go back and having a sabbatical and how that helps you get back into the game.
Well, if I had to choose, I wouldn't have taken the year off. We got bills we got to pay now. So, but all seriousness, the year off it makes you not take it for granted when you come back. But also too, also going back to what Brenda was saying, you have to be taken away in order for you to, to feel that. So Coach Eric Bieniemy used to always say, in order to appreciate winning, you got to demise losing. So you got to know how it feels to lose, and you got to hate it so much that you just will absolutely not allow it, to happen again. And unfortunately, in this game, I done had a couple of injuries, a couple season-ending injuries. This past year, I had a rotator cuff on the shoulder, and then in 2017, had a reconstructive knee. So that was PCL, LCL, multi-ligament construction. But I was not used to. I had already experienced being away from the game, so I have something that I can refer back to mentally, physically, just being in that state of mind again and not panicking. Always being poised under pressure. So I feel like that's where the confidence comes in, and that's what you gain in that year away from the business, and it kind of makes you think like, okay, is this something that I really, really want to do, or what I'm saying, for this time of my life, or is it something else that I want to gear my attention towards? So, you have the choice. Every day we go to work, they always tell us, you chose this profession. So go ahead, strap them up, get out here, and let's get to work. Can't be afraid to put in the work. So I love the work. So
for me, butchering that question, you did a phenomenal answer.
I guess that's my wife tells me all the time I should get into like broadcasting, but I'm still a little camera shy.
You're doing pretty good. I know you don't know I said that, but you are.
Because once I get going, I can really dissect some things and really get into depth.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we know some broadcasters. We know a broadcaster. I don't know how it looks on your screen. Okay, Jon, what beliefs and mindsets did you take from the NFL that you find are successfully received by your clients in the business world?
That's a really great question. Very few. So a lot of the mental skills that I had when I was playing helped me reach a certain level, but they were really inadequate to take me to the next level that I was really trying to get to. So most of what we teach at Vision Pursue, I never was taught in the NFL, and a lot of the skills still aren't being taught in the NFL. And I wish I would have had those when I was playing, but they're very different. It's really learning how to be aware of the automatic brain and understanding how your automatic brain works, how it's been programmed to construct meaning from your experience, and then recognizing that you're going to have automatic chemical reactions to that. And so a big part of our training program is how do I better manage that experience? And a lot of that is just simply a response plan. So when my performance anxiety is through the roof before a big game, what am I going to do? And what most athletes do is they feel more anxiety because now I'm anxious about my anxiety. Right? And most people have never been taught how to respond to the chemical releases that happen in the brain. And so with a very simple proven response plan, you can take all those situations where you might feel overwhelmed, overly anxious, and you can still perform in spite of that. But when we start resisting all of our experiences, saying I should feel confident, but I don't feel confident, I feel anxious, now I get lost in my head and I get distracted from doing the most simple thing, just executing my job. And so it's remarkable how simple it is. It's still not being taught in a lot of sports teams and a lot of corporate environments. And so I love getting to share it with people.
Awesome. Okay, Brenda, first of all, I'm going to ask you this question, but it's not your real question. Are you ready? Okay. But Troy just wants to know if you can commentate his wrestling match that is nonstop going on between his 5 and 8 year old boys. I think he's over it at this point, right?
I'm sure I could.
I think a lot of us have turned into like breaking them up. What has been the greatest game or rivalry you've ever covered, and what's the number one play you remember covering?
Wow,
it's a big one.
Gosh, I've had so many great opportunities over the years, and I'm not sure this is a rivalry. But when people ask me what is my favorite memory in broadcasting, I had the incredible opportunity to call the World University Games in 2013 in Kazan, Russia. And I called the gold medal games in men's basketball, women's basketball, and beach volleyball. And in the women's basketball final, here we were in Russia in a 5,000 seat arena, and 4,950 of the fans were Russian. Maybe about 50 were for the United States. And that was the matchup in the gold medal game. And one of the starters for the United States was a young woman named Jordan Hooper, one of the best basketball games ever basketball names, I should say, played for the University of Nebraska, but she was a starter on this USA basketball team, and she happened to be from a small town in Nebraska, just like me. And so here we were, these two small town Nebraska girls in Russia, and I got to be the voice that carried the United States versus Russia gold medal game back to the United States. So, Russia, United States, that's a pretty good rivalry. So that's probably the best. I mean, I've called a lot of Big 12 games and Baylor, Texas, and Baylor, Oklahoma over the years, and I even got to go back to my alma mater, University of Nebraska Kearney, and call a couple of national championships in Division II back there. So I would say that. And my favorite play, I had a buzzer beater just this year. Tennessee. I was in Knoxville at the University of Tennessee, and the shot against Alabama. You would have probably seen that, Terry. Hit at the buzzer, and it was such a dramatic shot. And got to call the 3-pointer for the game-winning shot. It was a pretty cool opportunity to do that.
Nice. All right, Terry. Here's the deal. First of all, Thayla Cherry expects to see KU in the Final Four next year. That's on your shoulders.
Oh, really? Yeah, she's got to respond. She's supposed to be on the upcoming show. She's got to tell us when she's coming on.
Respond to us, Thayla. And that's actually with her event that Brenda and I met at.
I got to send my calendar invite.
Okay. Scott's like getting work done while we're on here. I like it. Terry, I'm going to ask a question no one's asked yet, but I don't understand. You talked about nothing personal. You talked about that you went to KU during the Roy Williams days. Yep. So now you're going back, and now Roy Williams is not the biggest fan around there, right? And now you're going to have to draw some lines. How do you respect boundaries like that when you go back? And then also, how are you going to get the women's team to the Big Four? Final Four. Sorry, Coach.
I mean, Coach Self is a great coach. He's been very, very respectful of players. KU men's basketball is a big family. So if you play there, you're part of the family, regardless of who you play for. Coach Self has always been very receptive of me and people that I play with. As far as even before I was a college coach, he would let me come to practices and camps and sit down and talk to me and that kind of stuff. So it's never been a rivalry as far as that. I think because Coach Self does a good job of kind of embracing everybody. And then with Coach Williams, I still can't stay in contact with him. He actually writes a bunch. He still handwrites us all letters and sends us Christmas cards and checks on us like throughout the year and that kind of stuff. So we're able to kind of keep both of our allegiances together. The people that play for Coach Williams are still close to him, but we all still root for KU at the end of the day, and we all love Coach Self as a coach.
Okay, second part was how do you win the Final Four?
I think it's just gonna be women's basketball is dangerous. I mean, you got Baylor that's in the conference who's big time. They defending national champs and they're super dominant. And Texas is gonna be like the conference is good. I think it's just gonna be a matter of having the girls that we have on the team now continue to work hard. And they played great down the stretch last year. They have a great recruiting class coming in it's upcoming year. So it's just going to be confidence. I think it's going to be – they got a lot of experience last year from just getting to play with a lot of young kids. I think Coach Brandon is a great coach. I think he's super underrated. So I think all those things. And then, of course, you got to have luck to make it to the Final Four. So we're going to need luck on our side.
All right. So Spencer can't hear me. So repeat this. So Chase Kaufman.
Telephone game here. By the way. Yeah.
So Chase Kaufman, who I just learned the other day, used to be in the NFL. I wondered why he had more LinkedIn followers than me, but he was a former NFL player too. I'm so bad at this, but he wants to know if Spencer has taken advantage or looked into the NFLPA externship programs and off-season opportunities to help market and grow his business, and also if he's thought through some of those injuries, what that means going forwards when he's done with football.
So Chase Coughlin, amazing tight end, played at the University of Missouri. I think he played at a couple different NFL. I know he played at a variety of different NFL teams. Is a great financial advisor here in town, and he was asking you, Spencer, if you've taken advantage of any of the programs that the NFL has to offer to grow your brand. Is that correct, Aaron?
Yeah.
Is that correct? Last time I gave you a bad question, you knocked it out of the park. So just know that Aaron's asking the question way better than what I am. But have you taken advantage of the NFL resources to help grow your business and your brand?
Yes. I've attended several business academies. I've actually won a couple of them for best business plan. So, I mean, we'll see when the dollars start rolling in. I feel like that's the best. That's the best, whichever one takes off. But yes, I have been. I've been including, my wife and some other family members as well. Just to strengthen my circle around me, so we can be able to talk amongst each other more about it, so it can become more of a second nature. So, yes, I have been taking advantage of it, and hopefully soon to be attending a lot more.
I just want to let you know, Thayla Cherry just replied to our email and said she'll come on the show after you called her out nationally on here. Nationally. You guys.
Oh, it's national.
All right, Jon. In a time like now, so from Troy, and you kind of talked about this, but maybe get into a little more details to help other business owners. Time like now, with all the pivoting going on, do you find yourself revamping or revisiting the systems that you already had in place, even maybe some of the virtual ones?
Can you get? I was hearing some feedback there. So it's a good question. I think I understand what you're saying. So for us, the mindset training that we do applies in virtually every situation, and it's particularly in a situation like this when there's a lot of uncertainty and pivoting, adapting. All those things are required. What's really interesting is that it's so disparate, the impact it's having on our clients. So on one hand, some of our clients have more business they've ever had in their life. Right. And this new world has created more demand for their product or their service. And so there's a specific mindset that they need to address that. And one of the mantras we like to use with those organizations is pressure is a privilege. Right. And so the fact that there's pressure right now, that there's stress, it means that what you do matters. Right. It's important what you do, and the world's asking something from you right now. Your customers are asking something from you. And so you want to embrace that. You don't want to resist that pressure. It's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. On the other hand, you have companies that they don't know if they're going to be in business a month from now, right? And they definitely can't make payroll, and they're surviving off of PPP and unemployment. And there's so much uncertainty. And so in that instance, there's a very different mindset that they need to have. And Spencer, you spoke to one of the core elements of that, which is this capacity to have trust or faith in the bigger picture, right? And the greater our capacity to have faith that in the end, we will prevail. In the end, we'll figure this out. In the end, we're going to get through this. What that allows us to do then is to embrace more the challenge that we face today. It allows us to embrace the reality of the challenge and not be delusional about it. Not, hey, everything's okay when it's not okay. It says, no, these are the facts. This is reality. And we can embrace those and say, what are we going to do about it? This is the hand we've been dealt. Let's play this hand as best we can. And we don't have to fall into that victim mindset that then begins to compound a difficult situation into a really, really difficult one. And so we teach a very diverse group of mindset principles. And what we see, the COVID, the pandemic, what it's done is it's just elevated the need for those inside of organizations. And so we're positioned really well to deliver that for companies of all sizes.
A pressure is privilege. I like that. I hadn't heard that. I'm in one of those businesses that has gotten busier, but sometimes it feels overwhelming, and I'm going to make myself a note and then put it right here.
Nice. I feel like Spencer knew the answer to that one because Brendan and Terry both wrote it down, and you did as well, Aaron.
You're doing so good at notes. I like it. Spencer's not taking any notes when I talk because he can't hear me. Okay, we're going to ask one more question because we're hitting up on time.
I still can't hear.
Yeah, right.
We'll let Scott answer it, and then everybody answer this because I think it's really important. It's coming from Mary Shannon. I don't know how many people know her. She's recently retired from Hallmark, very high up in Hallmark, and then decided to spend the rest of her days helping people get their minority-owned and women-owned business licenses, right? So went from corporate to entrepreneur life, and she's been an amazing resource for a lot of people. So that's Mary Shannon. Connect with her. But this question, she's always got the smartest questions. During these unprecedented times, what are you doing to strengthen your mind and body to be more prepared when we come out on the other side? You want to repeat real quick for Spencer?
So what are we doing to strengthen our mind and body to come out of the COVID-19 situation stronger and better? And another thing about Mary Shannon, if you're someone that's looking to work with the major corporations here in Kansas City, there's no one better. So that's awesome that Mary asked that question. There's no line that's going to be better than pressure is a privilege. I'm approaching this time as like the end of the year in December. A lot of people take that time off in the business world, and I take that time to get 2 steps ahead.
Right.
And so for me personally, I've been working morning, nights, and weekends and as much as I can with young children to make sure that I'm distancing myself from my competition. So I see this as an opportunity to create some separation. Brenda,
Scott and I call each other a lot in December because we feel like we're 2 of the only people in our circles working. So, all right, let's have everybody answer the question. Whoever wants to go first.
Well, if we just go in the same order, I'll just jump in here. But, it's kind of interesting because I typically go really hard during basketball season because I do about 60 to 70 games per year. And then April through October is my time to decompress and just rejuvenate and get ready for the next year. But this is so different that it may be a year and a half before there's another college basketball season. I hope not, but I have to prepare for that. And so I've tried to put my entrepreneurial hat on and do a lot of professional and personal development myself and learning and networking. And I appreciate coming on this show because I've got a project that I'm working on that I put a business plan together about collecting women's basketball historical video interviews from a lot of the retirees in the game that I think we're going to lose their voices soon. And so I want to make sure that we're gathering and collecting all of those stories and inspiration. So I've got a business plan I'm working on with that. I'm doing some voiceover work. I'm working on my speaking and etc. So I'm just trying to work to do some personal and professional development during this time.
Nice. And you can tell she's an announcer. She took charge. She goes, we'll just go in the order. So I like it. I'm going to learn that from her today.
He by far has been picking up on every social cue, and it's very intimidating. Terry, what is one thing that you're doing during this uncertain times that you're trying to improve yourself?
A bunch of the same. So I've lost a little weight throughout this time. I've been working out daily with my wife, doing a bunch of the beach body workouts, which I always thought those were easy, just watching her do them, and they've been kind of like kicking my butt. But I've been able to exercise more. Been doing a lot of Zoom calls with a bunch of different coaches, and we tackled issues, within our business, whether it's recruiting, whether it's X's and O's, whether it's dealing with issues with kids on the team. So a lot of that kind of stuff, just trying to get better. And then in our game, recruiting, a big part of it is we still have our phones because we can't see the kids year round. So I'm still gonna be able to, I can talk to coaches and still connect with a bunch of the people that I have relationships throughout the business. You just make sure that you're checking on people, making sure that people are safe, and just keeping those connections strong. So once this stuff is over, that people understand that you cared about them and you checked on them throughout a tough time. So those are probably the biggest things. Make sure I stay on my phone. On social media, I can still watch recruits and see what they're doing and stay connected. So a lot of the stuff that I do with my job, you can still do, from home, and you don't have to actually be in the office to do. So still staying on top of my job. I'm still technically employed by University of Texas, so I can't actively recruit kids to Kansas right now. But I can still, get myself there as a coach and develop and keep myself in shape. So those are the things I've been locked in on.
Spencer, what are you doing during this time period?
Well, I'm rehabbing this rotator cuff surgery that I had a few months back. Still getting that strong, waiting on this free agency on how this is going to take away with everything that's been going on with that. Just had a newborn. So, I mean, my life as far as it's kind of scattered a little bit, as you know. It can be, but I'm just focusing on, like I say, just creating those yes, Lord moments. Like, just focus on the things I can't control. Wherever I land, whatever team, decides to give me opportunity or whatnot, I'm definitely going to make the best of it. My time was great out there in Kansas City. Like I said, that's like a second home. We finally got it done, bringing the Super Bowl back. But I'm working on my story too as well. We got to move on. Like I said, my second Super Bowl. So just trying to see what's best for my family, what we're going to do, how I'm going to attack, school or the entrepreneur with the real estate or whatever the case may be. So I'm kind of getting prepared for the life after football, so to speak. So when it comes, it's not just a complete halt to it. So I think with this this COVID-19 has helped a lot of, us athletes and players reevaluate life after football too, as well, and be able to line those ducks up.
Jon?
Yeah, for me, exercise and meditation. So it doesn't be a lot. 10, 15 minutes in the morning exercise makes a big difference for me. And anyone that knows me, and big on meditation, different mindfulness-based meditation. So huge impact on my brain. I retired from the NFL because of concussions. The impact that's had on my brain's been really, really significant. So those are two big ones.
Well, awesome. You guys have been so amazing. We've had so many people on here, hundreds of people. They were so excited to see you. Spencer has no idea what I'm saying. They were so excited.
A lot of people tuned in, Spencer.
What'd she say?
Just counting his Super Bowl rings.
A lot of people tuned in.
Oh, a lot of people tuned in. I can't see. I don't know how many people. Like it matters. It don't matter.
He just counted his Super Bowl rings. We appreciate you more coming on. Make sure you connect with everybody. They all said LinkedIn was good. They've all got a lot of followers on social media. So just connect with them anywhere. We appreciate you guys. Thank you again. And we will see you next week.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thanks. Appreciate it.